What?
What?
We're not doing this.
We're
We're
not?
professionals. We're going to do this the right way, and I'm tired of not doing it the right way. Hold, please. We've got control over our background music. I'm so happy.
You mean we're no more Dale Earnhardt's of the intro?
We are now finishing this race every time. We can talk over our music, and we can do fun things like replace Sean at a moment's notice. Hi, Kim.
Not finishing the race sounds like a personal problem. Yes, hi.
Oh, wow. Well, first off, I always try to finish the race. Getting started may be the issue.
You set yourself up for it. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
I know. But you know what? It's a long race.
No, it's not.
No,
Please.
your definition of long is problems.
Oh.
Yeah. It's problematic.
Daddy hurt. Jason, introduce us. Well, I've still got music in the background.
Yeah. Well, speaking of problematic, can y'all hear my fan?
Mm-mm.
We don't have fans, Jason.
Oh.
You may
Anyway.
continue, though.
Welcome to Vagabond Nerds, where we can't fight this feeling anymore. And the feeling that you shouldn't fight is going to see Jeremy over at TitanComics.com.
Okay. Early in the morning.
He's got all your geeky accoutrements, and he is my third favorite Jew. So go say
Wow.
hi to him. Well, he is. I'm just saying.
Did you just say that?
Yeah, he is.
Okay,
He's number 3.
I haven't done this in a long time, but the views and opinions as spoken by Jason McLean are of him and him alone.
Look, just
Vagabond
because
does
you
not
don't like
condone,
Jewish people
respect,
doesn't
or
mean
absolutely
I have to dislike him. I like Jewish people. What's
respect
wrong with you?
McLean. I don't know what's wrong with him. Let's say another first.
It's too early to cringe that hard, Jason.
No, it's not. Ray's on the show. It's never too hard to cringe.
I don't know. All I know is with Kim joining us today, our comments look so empty and sad.
Yeah, because I'm not. Do you want me to jump in the
Kim's
chat too? So that way.
Yeah, jump in the chat. I want you to talk and type at the same time.
You know what? I could do it. I could probably pull it off.
You probably could. I know I couldn't because, well, I'm an idiot. But so in case anyone is watching and is like, hey, where's Sean? Well, we killed him and ate his liver. It was tasty. Sean has actually decided.
I mean, it has been
a little bit off.
Yeah, I mean, he has been marinating it for years in whiskey.
He really
and bourbon,
has.
So,
he really has.
I mean, there's a good reason for it to be tasty. Look at me multitasking.
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here asking, like, why don't we have more fans? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is the reason. How was everyone's last 2 weeks?
I don't twerk enough.
Before we start.
Chaotic.
Chaotic.
Yeah, parental chaos. My kids started all these new therapies and stuff, and so it's been a lot of driving and just. Plus, he's 4, and his favorite phrases are "no" and "I don't want it." So.
Yes.
That's Jason's favorite phrases as well.
It's true.
But I don't listen to his.
We're adults. We've earned the right to say that, though.
I don't know. Have we?
Yes, we have, Raymond. No means no.
I can't even finish that story. Never mind. No, I will.
Walk away from that. Yeah.
Walk away.
No, I have a friend. I have no idea if she's listening right now or not. And
she's not. Let me help you out.
She's not listening.
Literally, the one listening is me.
She oh wow, like you're my only female friend. I got Jason. She would always tell me that. I would tell her not to stab me, and I would say no, and she goes, no means no unless it means yes, and then she would stab me again, and I'd be like, what in the world is going on? I realize now, looking back on it, I was abused.
Yeah,
and
I love that she thinks, oh, she mean like stabbing, you mean poke? No, serrated steak knife.
Yeah, I'd been stabbed once or 8 times a day. It was bad, and like I said, no one would believe me unless Jason wasn't the witness that he is right now.
See, this is the kind of crap we would pull in D&D campaigns. I don't have people literally stabbing.
Literally, it was stabbing, and it was always over the same thing: food.
Yeah, we roll real
honestly,
hard.
that's fair. If you
That's all
touch
I'm
my
saying.
food, I might reach out with a fork. too.
No. She wanted mine.
Yeah.
So she would
She would
stab
stab
me.
him
I
for
would
his food.
I would just be in a little ball in fear. And
Was it one of those circumstances where like she said she didn't want to eat anything and then your food showed up and then she tried to eat yours?
No, I didn't get circumcised. Wait, you said circumstance.
You said, I believe Kim said it was too early to cringe that hard, Raymond.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Jason, how was your last 2 weeks?
Oh, it's been spectacular. Can't complain at all.
Okay,
Choopy Rules launched. Yeah, Choopy Rules launched. So that's been fun. Figuring that out.
Yeah, nothing like you taking credit for that, man. I appreciate that. Because I can, buddy. Because I can.
Because I did. Yeah. How's your 2 weeks been, Raymond? Perez,
correcting
Jr.
Choopy Rules. Because someone didn't know how to do it correctly, so been giving them tips on how to make it funny. Because they were horrible.
Something you've never actually done is be funny, Ray.
I don't know if you noticed. In all seriousness, please check out Choopy's Rules because Jason is finally going to get rid of all the voice acting that he tried to do to make it suck a little bit harder. You got to. I see the comment.
I'm trying so hard not to make a comment off that last one. But keep talking.
You got to not Weinstein that puppy. Just
that's a little dark.
And let it go.
That's too dark.
That's too dark, dude.
Speaking of Kim, can we get some light in your? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, my Alexa's is like turn the light as bright as it can go. So
I love it. Well,
if it was any brighter, her beauty would shut down the show, Ray.
That's your forehead, bud.
He knows how to, he knows what to say. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
I said it before the show. Mine should count, more. Right?
I said thank you.
I forgot what I already said. Who's watching what? I can tell you right now, we're gonna try not to do spoilers today, but
it's fine. If you I said, when it comes to that one particular movie, if you do, it's fine. I don't get to go to the theaters, so you might as well just go ahead and I'll just interject about what I think about what y'all think. So
we're going to let's see. What do you? I tell you what, I'm gonna shut up for a bit. Jason, what do you want to talk about first?
I mean, real quickly, I'm watching Only Murders in the Building.
I have not gotten to watch
wife.
the second season yet.
I'm on the first season. I think I'm only up to like episode 4 or 5. Like we just started it. I love this show.
I got Ray on my Hulu account so he could watch it.
Kim turned me on to that. Kim turned me on to that. She was like, "You got to watch this." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I think I texted the first 5 minutes of watching. I was like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest shit ever!"
Yeah,
I was like, "Told you."
And she was like, "Told you."
Well, the surprise
what are the
is
passwords
Selena
I get
Gomez.
From you?
Yeah, well, the surprise is Selena Gomez because you're like, it's Martin Sheen or not Martin Sheen, Martin Short and Steve Martin. I'm like, of course they're going to be awesome. They're always awesome. That stand-up thing they did on Netflix was one of my favorite things ever. But then Selena Gomez is really good in this show.
Yeah,
and the cameos are wonderful.
The way I think about it is Martin Short and Steve Martin with the lure that got you on the line, but then Selena Gomez was the one that reeled you in.
Yeah.
So
she sets the hook. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
It's really funny, and
Yes.
I love murder mysteries and stuff like that, but making it witty just adds bonus points for me.
Yes.
Can I say it? I love the fact that not only did she replace Sean for the show, but the pauses on the camera are happening just like Sean. I feel like he's with us. I feel like he's right here with us.
We have the spirit.
I don't know if I should
We
consider
miss
that a
you,
compliment
Sean.
or an insult.
Yes.
Yes.
Just yes.
Both. Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm gonna get stabbed later. I know it.
Maybe.
And she's gonna take my food at the end of it.
No, I'm literally gonna mail you a knife and just tell you to stab yourself because.
And you know what? I'm the kind of idiot that I would open it and be like, "Oh, she cares," and then stab myself.
So
Send you a little
stupid.
picture of the stab wound. This was steak knife number 1 stab.
I just consider my pauses to be respectful when other people are talking. If that's a crime, then I'm okay with that.
We
don't know what that
here.
is. Yeah, we don't do that here.
I don't. What's funny is I don't on my own podcast, but I do on y'all's. Maybe it's because I feel like I'm interested.
No.
There's a cat back there. I was like, what the hell?
If we don't, if we don't interrupt each other, it's not worth the show.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. So yeah, murders only in building. Oh my god!
Only murders.
Only
in the
murders
building.
in building.
And
Yeah.
of course,
yeah, it is good.
of course,
Hey.
the boys season finale was this past.
Sean, are you doing this from overseas? Please, for the love of God, tell me you're doing this from overseas.
No. And then let's see, Miss Marvel. I just watched yesterday. I caught up on, and then what else am I watching? I'm watching weird. I watch weird shit. So like we wouldn't discuss on a nerdy channel. So
Sean is in London. Look at you,
London, baby.
damn,
Nice.
I haven't been to London in like 20 years. So
Can you please drink more than what you're drinking right now for me, Sean? Thanks.
Yeah. Have a nice slice of beer for us, Sean.
Hey, does this count as our international fans?
It does.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Watching weird shit.
well, I watch a lot of like documentaries.
No, you're still in the same realm. Like that's still us. Like we still follow a lot of that stuff. Like we do documentaries all the time.
I don't know if it's like religious trauma, but I watch a lot of like Mormon documentaries. And I was watching one before we got on here about a girl with DID. So I was like,
here, I'll do the head tilt for us. DID?
Dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen one of the Mormon ones, and it was
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. I mean, they went on to talk about how they had to get demons out of babies, and I'm listening to it and I'm like, what?
Don't get me wrong,
in
like
the world?
Most Mormonism is, one thing, but the extremists are the ones that are like,
I didn't.
If you have a compound,
I didn't
if you have a compound, go sit in a corner.
Yeah, things get
Which
weird.
reminds me, Jason, we got to make our first payment on the compound. But seriously, like I didn't realize.
Spit out my water. Thank you.
I've got that scheduled.
So it was really weird for me to watch it, knowing that there were, and I should have known, right? Like in the world, we all have different sects of the same group that we just don't really pay attention to. I just, for whatever reason, for me, it never dawned on me that Mormonism could have the same thing. That there would be that split of absolute, okay, cool, you guys are nice, or all the way to the, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you sacrificing babies? Like, what kind of craziness is this?
I love how this cat is just up here judging me.
I see that.
He really is. Look at that.
Yeah. That's her safe place. Hey, Gemini.
If she answers back, that's when I'm gonna be like, okay, that's not a cat.
She's one of the few that does not really talk in this house. So there's a lot of them. So.
Oh, Allie, calm down.
But see, and Jason's dog just saw the cat. Like, I love it. Kim, have you seen Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey?
Yes, I sure have.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta add that to a list.
Yep.
That one's a lot. And I just like, and I also watch like a lot of like queer content. Like I've been watching like all the stuff on Discovery Plus.
I was like Vagabond Nerds.
Yeah, Vagabond Nerds.
Weird content.
No, well, yeah.
So Discovery Plus has what?
I was about to say
Discovery
it's queer
Plus.
now that I'm here, but
Yeah. No, she means just Discovery Plus. That's all there is. Interesting though. Back onto Hulu, The Princess with.
I watched that. Okay.
I gotta catch up.
It was better. Well, I mean, it's a movie. It is medieval fantasy. Die Hard. That's all. It is.
I was about to say it's a Jason Statham movie in medieval times.
Yeah. With
why didn't you ever tell me who was in it first, Jason? You left out completely all the actors and was like, you got to watch this. Cool. Had you told me who the actors were, I would have already watched it.
Hold on. She doesn't mean Jason Statham literally.
Oh. Yeah, no.
It's that flavor.
No, it's Joey King is a female Jason Statham. It's her action that makes it like a Jason Statham movie.
I still want to watch that now.
It's still good.
No, it's good.
Let me say, Jason,
go in with low expectations, and it's
Kim has a
good.
better selling point than you do on stuff like this.
Which is,
I'll stab you if you don't watch it. That's how I ended up watching Eternals.
I didn't threaten to stab you. I just said that that I'd be watching, and that you better text me when you start watching it. I literally made him text me a play-by-play to make sure he was still paying attention, because he was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I
I
know.
haven't made it since the first 5 minutes." I was like, "No. It's
Yeah,
for
but
the
she
sake of
probably
your
I was
show
g-
alone, you have to finish it."
but I was
in
gonna
Ray's
say though,
defense,
she probably she probably got tired after like the umpteenth time of me going, why is this happening?
Yeah.
What are they trying to do? Why does he think he's funny? And then I knew how Jason felt whenever he's talking to me. I'm like, I don't like this. And she was a good sport though. She put up with all of it throughout the entirety of it.
I'm the mother of a 4-year-old. My patience is paramount. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
I wish
and
more
the difference
parents got
between
that.
Raymond and a 4-year-old is not significant. That being said, in Raymond's defense on the Eternals, Marvel seems to have forgotten that was a film also. So
yeah, they're like sweeping it under the rug in the corner. They're like,
yeah,
nothing.
apparently, yeah. Kevin Feige has the same opinion about Eternals that Ray did, apparently. So
Bye, London, baby. All right.
Sean.
Sean's telling us he's got to go.
I need pictures of fish and chips, Sean.
Oh
I
my
need pictures.
Oh, that sounds so good right now.
It really does. There's a couple places in Dallas that have some really good fish and chips. And that actually probably brings us to one of our first. And I know we've got like a little Jurassic World title for the show, but we're actually going to be a lot of everywhere. Okay, starting with Eternals, and I'm going to leave
It's literally
out.
called "We're All Over the Place" today. So.
Yeah, it is. But starting with Eternals, we see this trend for Marvel on Phase 4. Whether it's Disney Plus, whether it's their movies, it's just continuing to go down. And you look at Thor that just came out today, and
I've already heard shitty things about it.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not horrible on the right. Nothing's as low as Eternals, right? And I'm not meaning that as a slam on Eternals. It's just a happy coincidence.
Yes, you are.
It's just a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere near as bad, but again, this goes back to what we talked about many, many, many shows ago, which is Kevin Feige. I hope you don't get caught up in the 90s Marvel comic stuff. And I think, especially with opening up the multiverse, I think we're starting to get there. Comments?
There's 90s comics and 90s comic shows are different. Like if they brought like the animated X-Men into it somehow, not a problem for me. But 90s
like
comics,
yeah,
right. 90s comics were desperate for a gimmick, and I
And
can see that being
that's his point.
I feel that we're about to start getting shiny covers.
No.
Hologram covers.
Yeah, hey dude, I love the hologram covers. Don't even
I do too, but when when we talk about the best, well, Spawn would be the best selling book, but shortly right after is got to be X-Men 1 by Jim Lee, and one issue 8 covers later.
No.
And we're starting not just to see that in the movies, I think, for Marvel and DC. I'll be fair.
Well, Marvel's bringing a lot of cameos that don't make sense, like the 90s comics did too. Like you're like, where did they come from? Why the hell are they here? Like, like the Multiverse of Madness cameo, at least comic wise, made sense. I was like, okay, she comes up in the comics anyway, fine. But some of them, you're like, why? Why are you here?
Well, again, it's like, okay, so Multiverse of Madness made sense. Like the cameos all made sense. The story they're trying to tell, that
the abilities
made sense.
They had, yeah.
The ability, yeah. Now, that all being said, Thor...
Unlike the Eternals.
Ray's not wrong. Ray's not wrong.
No, he's not.
But let me say it this way. I'm probably the biggest Thor fan, from like particularly the comics perspective, on this show. I defended Thor Dark World.
I defended Thor Dark World. I still like that movie.
I still,
I like
think
certain aspects of Thor the Dark World. It had its moments for me.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. But my thing is, as soon as I started seeing like the real trailers, I have no interest in this movie at all. And it's like, oh, no. I actually like the whole, like, if they do the Jane Foster, like, I think you could do the Jane Foster story. Right.
I actually liked the Mighty Thor comics.
That's what I'm saying. Like, like if you do it right, that's a great story. Honestly, just looking at the trailer, I'm like, this doesn't make me care about it. I don't really like the direction of Thor.
But how many times have you looked at a trailer and been completely wrong?
Which is why I'm waiting. I'm not saying I'm not over prejudging. I'm just saying I just don't have any interest in what I'm seeing.
It's the only circumstance ever where I'm like, where's the cancer?
Yeah. Wow.
Oh,
that was part of-
okay.
I'm sorry, but that's part of like what made the
Yeah.
story so intriguing, and I like
Was
saw
that she had
nothing of that in the
cancer?
trailer.
Yeah. Well, supposedly though, and again, I don't know. I'll know here in a few hours.
Yeah.
Supposedly
They're
that
hinting
is
that
that is
that's
part
gonna
of
be
the
a part of it.
storyline.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so, because
No,
like
but
and
they've
again,
hinted
that's
at
the
it.
only time I would ever hope so. But yeah, like
And-
that's
and-
kind of
Comic book spoilers, right? Not comic book movie spoilers. Like that is a horrifying story because she's doing that, but she's got a limited time.
yeah.
What was it that the fact that every time she was Jane Foster, every time she was
Well,
Thor, it would remove
it
the
erased
chemo.
the chemo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
it
erased
was
all
like-
the treatments she had.
So I'm hoping, and then that's a horrible thing to hope for, right? Yeah, like you said, right?
Right.
Like I hope there's cancer in it. Like nobody ever says that. But I hope that the storyline is really drawn upon. But at the same time, I loved Ragnarok, and I didn't think it was going to be. I told Jason when I first saw the first trailer, I was like, yeah, I like the trailer, but are we jumping shark? We got the Hulk in there. Like, how in the world? Like,
That's
those lines start going in there.
yeah. Taika brought like a whole level of levity to Ragnarok, and it made sense. It was great.
Yeah.
The amount of levity that I've seen in the trailer kind of seems contradictory to including that plot point in the storyline, because like how do you go from that'd be like the biggest roller coaster of all time. Like how do you go from she's dying to let's get Thor naked to like
Still waiting for that scene.
He's a big fan of Chris Hemsworth's
Chris
butt.
Hemsworth ass. Yeah.
it is his ass is worthy for sure.
Ha!
Lifting
lifting the hammer. I get it. That's
but well, so here's the thing, like that. I see what you're saying.
It's
yeah,
Asgard's
exactly.
ass.
He's an ass guardian. To your point though, if it's done right, I think the cancer thing would be part of like the third act, and I think it would absolutely tie into the Gore storyline. My only thing is this.
Okay.
No, but here's my only problem. Back to Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi my one complaint about that movie was he stepped on the drama with humor. Like, I'm the first one to say, if you want to make somebody cry, make them laugh first. Right?
But I never agreed with your comment on that, and that's still an argument that we have
argue
to
with
day.
this. But my point is still, this is one of the reasons I'm worried about the whole Jane Foster cancer storyline. Is Taika Waititi, whatever his name is,
Taika Waititi,
whatever, has the ability. Yeah. It's a me.
No, Return of the Jedi flashback there.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, but it's just he steps on the
and I'm also
brown
and furry and small.
Yeah, well, you can say that you're 1/16 furry and small.
Yeah, that's true. I'm 1/16. I don't disagree. Look, I get what you're saying, right? I do. I'm not lost on your point on that. I just think that it didn't detract. Right now, if like someone came in and did a dancing segue during the middle of Endgame, right when they're about to go to war with Thanos, I would understand completely.
Or Infinity War dancing on Loki's body in the ship,
whatever. Like him looking over and going, I bet you he's never walking again. Aha! Like I would understand where you're coming from on that.
Do I need to be the tiebreaker on this?
Be the tiebreaker.
I'm Jason. I liked Ragnarok.
Okay.
I liked Ragnarok, and it was.
There we go. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Kim.
I was about to say, right? He's like, I don't think Ray's going to keep you on the show for much longer.
I like Ray's points, and he's right about a lot of stuff. But I have to have some form of drama to keep me interested in the story. Like I can appreciate the humor for what it was, but it didn't drive the plot along. To me, it was like, funny scenario, we're in this location. Funny scenario, we're in this location. Funny scenario, hey, we're here now. Like there was no like drama like pulling me along to each scene for me. It was just like, oh, we just keep ending up in funny scenarios the whole time, which I liked it for what it was, but that doesn't make it an intriguing movie to me.
We could let you watch Moon Knight again.
Hey now. Hey, that's sometimes.
Hey, now,
it was a sort. It was kind of
over. Hey now. Hey now.
Hey now.
Got him. Okay, go ahead. I tell you, anytime you start singing, Jason.
Build a
It
wall
was a form
between
of a it was a
was a
form
form of
of
what
a
now?
kind of emotional dissociation, though. You're kind of right about that. So
I get it. Like
I
I
was to say,
don't.
if it was a karaoke session, I would have warmed up before we got here.
Yeah, right. And I would appreciate your singing, as you know I do. Jason's. No, look, the cat's gone, Jason.
I know.
Like
Well, no,
heard
the
2
cat.
seconds of your voice scene.
No, the cat
And
was
just-
gone
She
before
can't
this.
even
I
hear.
was.
split.
She can't even hear him.
She
She heard
split.
me and took off. She's like, I'm
Yeah.
right here.
No, she was gone for a while. I've been watching it. I was about to mention, it's like your cat is judging you from a new position now.
Yeah, she's up there somewhere. I'm sure.
That's usually what happens to me on dates.
Oh,
Yeah. I
at
made
least you
myself
get
sad.
dates.
Yes, like July 10th, July 11th, July 12th. It's been really. I don't know. Like I like his style in any of the movies.
Oh, I
that he
just
directs.
realized I didn't see the comments before. Now I was wondering why you were asking those questions.
Love it. But
Aw.
yeah, I don't know. I think. What should I say? I think we're coming to a point to where it is going to be. We ourselves are coming to that point, and Jason and Sean and I have talked about Kim. I think we've probably even talked about it once or twice. That we're coming to a point to where it's like, okay, slow it down a little bit. Marvel has how many things per year now?
I think it's
Including
like 10.
Disney Plus? Yeah.
Like the shows they're releasing, like some of them are completely unnecessary to me. Like Miss Marvel, I understand setting up for the Marvels. Great. Why is there a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and a Groot show? Why?
Yeah.
I guess the why would be appealing to children, but draw those children into the MCU so they can see all our movies and make their parents pay for stuff.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's my fear, right? Remember when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., okay? And those other Marvel shows that came out with like Cloak and Dagger,
I liked Cloak and Dagger.
Well, Cloak and Dagger was good, right? No, it was good. I liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It had its moments, but I liked the show overall. But they were all like, yeah, this is all going to tie together. And then it's like it stops. And then they're like, yeah, no, we're not really going to pay attention. They're like, no, it's not canon anymore. It literally just kept backing away. My problem is with the exception of Captain America and Winter Soldier and WandaVision. I already feel like and again, to your point, Ms. Marvel, they're probably going to have to stick to that one, which is good. And we'll talk about that later. But I have with Eternals, with Moon Knight, and even really to a point with some of their other projects, I feel like they're like
Doctor Strange too. I mean, Doctor Strange 2 fits that category as well.
Where it's like they're kind of like backing away from it being canon, where it's like, it's like, hey, it's an interconnected universe, and this is all going to tie together, sometimes or not. Hey, look at that over there.
I'll say it once and I'll say it again. The multiverse brought up two big excuses. It brought in the excuses to tie more things together and, like, in other words, bring in more franchises, bring in more movies. It's a multiverse. It's open field now. And also, it gives the excuse to erase some things because, hey, the universe has changed. We can disregard these certain things because the multiverse now exists.
Well,
so
it's got to also be how they're bringing
like giving
in the X-Men,
permission,
right?
Exactly.
They've always existed.
Well, they never used the word mutant because they didn't have the right to in the films before. So now, are they going to make Wanda a mutant like she was, or are they just going to disregard that completely while introducing the X-Men? Like, that's kind of the questions you have to bring up, because now that all these things are open and they're allowed because Disney is, a titan and bought out everything else. Now that they have the excuse and the reason to use the word mutant, are they going to go backtrack and use it in previous things that they've had, or are they just going to just like disregard them, sweep them under the rug, and they're not part of that X-Men universe?
Or are they going to do the? Because I still think like the ending, like that. Well, the second end scene for Doctor Strange, where they're like, "Hey, you've caused an incursion," and they go off to fix it. I think that's their excuse. That's the perfect excuse to reboot everything and get your X-Men in. Is just there was an incursion, but they fix it and you reboot your entire universe.
Doesn't it feel like a cheat?
Also,
I mean, doesn't that feel like a cheat?
Yes.
I have a question
Raising
too,
her hand,
though,
I love it.
because
Say it.
with the end, I don't know if I spoil the end of Multiverse of Madness at this point. Is it cool that I do that?
Spoiler
Go
alert.
for it.
Go.
Yeah. So.
Okay. The way that it ended for Wanda, is that an excuse to bring in an X-Men version or a mutant version of Scarlet Witch?
I
Well,
think
of course.
so.
Of course it is.
So that way she's not dead, but she is dead, but the Wanda that we knew is gone. But they're
Right.
just
Yeah.
going to bring her in again as somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
with Pietro, I'm sure, right? With her
Yeah,
brother.
you get
That's
Quicksilver
true.
back, and
Yeah, now that we have
I don't-
Fox Quicksilver making cameos, like
I mean,
think that's awesome.
I'm surprised I'm saying what I'm going to say. I'm actually a little concerned and worried now for how Marvel Studios are going to handle the X-Men. And I
It
never
can't
really
be much
was
worse than how
shooting-
Fox
yeah,
handled the X-Men.
It can't be worse than the New Mutants, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I liked. Okay, controversial opinion. I liked certain aspects of New Mutants.
So
just
did I.
wasn't
It was. I want to see the original version, not
the
the third director cut.
Yeah.
Actually, the third
Right,
studio
right.
cut version of it.
the
I wanna see the
characters and the
original
casting
version.
were great. The execution was shit.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Yes.
It
my
was
one foul
definitely
word of the
lost
day.
in editing. Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
It
But, I
was
mean, you
lost
said
in
for Moon
editing and
Knight.
writing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And that's right, Jason. Same for Moon Knight. We
I hate to say
look
that
at
too. Yeah.
we go and we look at something like into the Spider-Verse. Geez, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, was that even too much? Right? Like, I don't get me wrong, loved the movie, loved it. But in hindsight, like, was it too much? Did they try to do something by introducing these other characters and saying, "Oh, well, we've ripped it open," and really, I can't even say that it was that movie that opened up.
And then they tied it into shit like
multiverse.
the end of like the cut scene in Morbius, the end scene. Like that wasn't
I don't
necessary.
count. Again, we don't talk about that here.
Yeah. I still haven't even seen.
it's
I'm
not
aware of
Morbid
what
time.
happened. Yeah, it's not Morbid time. I haven't even seen the movie, and here's the.
I saw
Ray
it on
knows.
TikTok. Somebody leaked it. I didn't pay to watch.
Oh, I haven't. I'm not.
Whoever
about
the
to.
person was, who
They played
started
it for
the
like
whole
24
thing.
hours straight. All they were
Yeah,
doing was just playing Morbius.
and then the person who started that, hey, we want it back in theaters, and Sony was stupid enough to bring it back to theaters for a weekend. But it was the third version where the person goes, "Hey, sorry about that. We were all busy that weekend. Can you bring it back one more time?" That person was my
That's funny.
favorite person. I saw Morbius, and I just was.
I didn't hate it
No,
as much as other
no.
people did. I wasn't like on the complete hate train. Like I saw the potential of what it could have been, but for once, it wasn't Jared Leto overdoing it.
I would rather watch half of Eternals again than
Ow!
have to
Dang.
watch another
Ouch.
viewing of Morbius.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because like a lot of movies lately, the ending of that movie rushed, and they've even said it. The director and the editors, they've even said no, because they wanted to change the ending of how we had the movie, so we had to change everything around it. So it shows that it was rushed, and it was just, again, to Kim's point, not the worst movie I've ever seen. I can't even tell you if I don't think I've ever walked out of any movie.
I've walked out of one movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
One.
So we're
We
gonna
didn't
get
even
to,
leave. We didn't even
so,
walk
hold
out
on.
of 8mm.
Hold on.
That's-
So time out, because we got to get to that one. And we'll start it with this. It's like someone who had said the latest Jurassic World Dominion, a director said, I walked out of it. He was like, I just couldn't do it. And I don't understand why. Because
I
it's
gotta ask
dinosaurs.
though, what was the one movie you walked out of? Because if it's the same one that I did, then that's hilarious.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I was on a
can't-
date
I'm-
and we literally switched 10 minutes in. We switched movies and got our refund and got tickets
Honestly,
for
it
a new
happened over
movie.
20. It happened almost 30 years ago. But like
No,
I even
okay, not the same movie then.
Yeah, I can't even remember. But it's like I even sat through the end of Escape from LA. Like that's how high my tolerance is.
You won't be surprised when I tell you what my one. It was The Last Airbender.
Yeah,
I never even went. Like I already knew.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yeah, no. Literally 10 minutes in, we're like, nope, we're out.
Okay,
and we went and saw that Johnny Depp movie when he was a gangster instead.
Yeah, like, and honestly, this is my entire take on the Last Airbender movie. It is the longest, most expensive cut episode ever. Like, you know, it's like here's the everything from, it's like at the end of the movie you expect it, and now season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like that, I expected that language to happen at the end because that's all it is. It was the longest cut filler episode ever made and the most expensive cut episode.
I want to do this joke so bad with Kim, but I'm not going to do it for our
Don't you dare.
Sakes.
But
I love the fact I don't have to say it. Kim knows it already.
We all know it, right?
She knows it.
This is Walter.
I don't
He's
think
my favorite.
Hello, Walter. I don't think I've ever walked. I take that back. I didn't walk out of it, but my date couldn't do it, and that was South Park: Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Oh yeah.
And so I had to walk out because she wanted to walk out. I was laughing my ass off during the whole thing, but she was, I can't do this. It's too gross. I'm like, okay, we can.
So did you just like let her go and just?
No. But this is what I did do. She goes, let's walk out. I was like, okay, let's wait for a moment where no one's seeing us. So it took 10 minutes for us to walk out because I'm still watching this thing, enjoying it. And she realized what I was doing. She was like, I'm going. And I'm like, damn it, let's go. You know, like it was that kind of thing.
That'd be best if you were like, you could go get a refund for your ticket. I'm gonna stay here. You go watch whatever movie you want to watch.
I don't think I would ever do that. I would relent and be like, let's go. But I'll tell you, Morbius was close. And I just kept thinking, and literally this is what I kept telling myself, well, it's still more entertaining than Eternals. That's
I love how that was your mindset.
Yeah. And I was like, still more entertaining. And then that was a watch looker though, right? Like how many have we been in movies where it's like,
again, the Eternals, I hated a lot of aspects of it. I only enjoyed 2 things about the Eternals.
Yeah.
One was
the opening scene and the end.
No, the relationship between Gilgamesh and Athena.
I could have watched a whole movie on.
I could have watched a whole movie about that period of time where they were by themselves,
and would have been perfectly fine.
I would have been fine with that. And Kit Harington's character's awkwardness was actually humorous to me.
Yeah,
it was just like he's like, I know I don't belong here, but I'm gonna fake it till I make it. Like,
yeah,
like those are the only 2 things I enjoyed about the whole film, and that's sad.
Yeah, well, and again, on the Eternals, the problem is, and I've always said this, they needed to have been introduced before Thanos, and they should have just been off world. Like, if
especially
you've done
since they brought his brother into it, like, why?
Exactly. You mentioned at the, it's like, I'm the brother of Thanos. Hold the effing phone right now. How is
where have you been?
Yeah. What? Hold on.
And who else
Thanos is part deviant. It's like if they had just introduced him before Thanos, before the whole Thanos thing. If they had been off world, you could have jumped. And you don't do the whole. Oh, we're gonna have, who
else thought for a split second that Danny DeVito was next to him?
I for a split second.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny to me was in the comics, wasn't Athena the mother of Thanos?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That when I showed the trailer of like that deviant stroking her face, that's where I thought it was headed.
Yeah.
And I was extremely disappointed that it was not where it headed.
It's like,
and would have been much better to sit there and have her go, I understand why you did it, but you still killed my son, and then start a war that way.
Yeah, that should have been Eternals 2. Is all that like that should have?
Yes, that irked me. And also, I will say I did like the fact about Mercari, the fact that she was deaf. I loved that inclusion was there.
Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, there was nothing else I enjoyed. That's sad. My favorite character was dead, like within like half an hour. So I was like, I'm no longer invested.
Yeah.
It also was way too long.
Yeah. Well, again, it was set up poorly. They didn't. So here's again, I'm a huge Jack Kirby fan. I love his celestial work with whether it's the New Gods or the Eternals, or I love that genre of Jack Kirby's work. Thor, again, where we get all these cosmic entities. Silver Surfer, of course, Bushima's run on Silver Surfer was divine. Focus. But I'm getting there. The point is, they didn't. You have to. That's that. Like, I was hoping to get more of that. Once they did the Guardians of the Galaxy, they needed to have blown up those stories immediately. They need to get that stuff out there. So because by the time you get to Endgame, like Endgame is the end of a lot of stories. Like, it really is. And it's you needed to have had all that sort of in the mix so that when you do Endgame, you're not like, well, where the F have you people been the entire time?
I also think it comes back. I also feel bad for it because you're so ridiculous, Kim. I love you. When you sit there and you say that, like Endgame, it did. That was the problem. Is Endgame felt like the finale, and the only character you felt that could kind of go on after those events was a character like Spider-Man. Would be a character like Hawkeye. Go back to your smaller stories. That was the problem. Which is, to be fair, one of the reasons I like the way that No Way Home ended, because you can now go back to the smaller Peter Parker stories where it's just him.
I hated the way Endgame ended. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I hated what they did to Captain America. But I didn't mind Sam Wilson becoming Captain America. But that whole, let me go back in time and grow old and shit. The whole point of Captain America was he was a man out of time.
Yeah.
And throwing himself back into it for a woman he kissed once and knew for a few weeks is bull. I'm sorry. It's
not
crap.
only that, but isn't he the first cause of a multiversal split?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they said you can't change time. It doesn't work that way. It just becomes your new future.
And also, he's la-di-da through romance while fascism and racism are going on. Like, he hasn't seen the after effects of that. Like, he's like, I'm just going to sit back,
And where is it again? The shield's like, don't worry about it. No. We need to worry about where the shield is coming from. Like, it's to the point. It's the end of this story. Endgame was.
And didn't he go back with the hammer too? Didn't he take the hammer back with him? And he didn't come back with it as an old man. So where's that hammer?
He dropped that off in that timeline, though.
Yeah, he put it back. There was no point to put everything back. So the timeline. The idea was if you put everything back, then the timeline resets. And it's like, okay, I get that. But where did you get the shield? Like, that's, it's like, where did you get that? But again, to your point, it's like they're trying to tie up his story so they can move on. But that's the whole problem. Endgame is the end of this broader story, and now you're trying to move on, and you're creating this dissonance. And I think it goes back to the original point. It's like, are they trying to do too much? Do we need to just do a hard reboot, and restart, or what?
And if Genesis was listening, he would be throwing a fit right now with what I'm about to say. But in that aspect, that's kind of where Warner Brothers DC has them beat. We don't care. Do whatever you want. You got a good movie in you? Go put it out there. Matt Reeves, you want to do Batman? Well, show us a script. Oh, that actually makes sense. Go. Joker,
well, also,
go.
The disadvantage to that statement is they only have had one team-up movie.
Yeah.
So they have a lot more freedom to do individualized stories.
Yep.
So with these guys, they're like, let's throw everything together all the time. So everything has to tie together and everything has to close. DC has the advantage where they can have a little more free form because number one, they haven't tied in as many characters yet. Number two, they don't have very many team ups. So they're just like, okay, do what you want. If this works better, we'll move on with that. Yeah. And plus the Batmans are retiring, like they're going out of style. So they constantly have to change it up because they don't have to.
That's the thing too, is like, don't kill Iron Man. Don't do that with Captain America. start replacing your actors. It was going to happen sooner or later. You put yourself in a box when you do that.
You know,
Same thing with Black Panther. Horrific. I miss Chadwick, right? Everyone does.
yeah.
But isn't the character too important just to be stuck with him as the only person that's going to be doing it?
At least, like, if they keep going forward with Shuri taking over, considering her comments online that people were not a fan of and people were questioning whether they would continue with that or not, that's at least comic accurate, you know? And a lot of people in the Marvel fan base theorize that there was more than one way to end Endgame, but Strange was just fucking sick of Tony Stark. So he's like, you know what? This is the only way it's going to work. So it's one way, buddy. That means you got to go.
There was actually like 87 million other ways. Just like,
well,
just one way.
And they said that Tony Stark started a lot of problems in the MCU. Like a lot of things were because of him. Ultron, all this crap. And if he's out of the way, his ego can't get in the way to cause any further problems. So in Doctor Strange's mind, he's like, this is killing two birds with one stone. So literally. Yeah. So
I like
it.
But actually, this is something going back to the idea of where DC does have sort of this an opportunity to do something Marvel can't at this point. I mentioned this with I think it was Aquaman, and said I've always thought that DC had the ability to just say we're not doing a big unified universe. If we're gonna do a Superman story and we want a Batman to show up in it, then that Batman is for that movie, and that it's like if we want to do a trilogy of Superman, then we can have a Wonder Woman or a Batman show up or whatever we want to reference them. Those are unique to that storyline only. If we have a Batman over here and there's no Superman, no other superheroes, that's again Dark Knight. That's its own thing.
Right.
Let's do an Aquaman. If one of these characters show up in that's its own thing. And do it with a different costume.
It's not like Ezra Miller's involved in any of it.
Yeah.
What's funny about that? Like, I agree. Like the way that Matt Reeves is doing Batman now, or that's who's directing the new ones, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but they plan to do a trilogy, from what I've been told.
Yeah.
So and so that way they have their own Riddler, their own Joker, whatever. And that's like you could just say like Matt Reeves Batman 2, whatever. And that way it's just that those characters are only tied to this director's storyline, and that's it.
Yeah.
And Zack Snyder with the whole Justice League thing got ripped off too because he had that personal tragedy happen and then somebody took over his crap and wrecked it.
Yeah.
I definitely like the Snyder version of Justice League better. There's still flaws, sure, but the fact that it's a 4-hour runtime for starters, but it's so much more inclusive and has so much more plot to it, and it closes out a lot of things that the original version didn't make sense. So,
it's although by the way, I have looked at the overarching story that he wanted to do. I get the feeling that there were some changes he was going to make to to make them fit, like the whole Batman being Lois Lane's the father of Lois Lane's baby. It's like, okay, but you wouldn't have possibly gotten that
absolutely not
from any of from any things that actually came out. So it's like there would have been I feel like there's probably some more material that's missing, or at least there should be material that's missing.
They threw in the injustice thing in the end credits, though, which is.
But just Bruce constantly looking at Clark. Hey, it's my kid.
Yeah.
Not only am I a billionaire, that's not yours.
Yeah.
But we've spent this full time talking about nothing current.
No.
Yeah.
At all.
We have.
I'm normally the one to get you guys on track, but I'm not in the comments to do that.
Everyone, okay, with the exception of Dawn, literally everyone who's watching this show is on the show or a member of the show. Please understand what's happening here.
So on that point, with Sean not here, no one can tell me to stop.
Oh my God.
No.
I could.
But you could, but you won't. It's too funny to you. No, but seriously, like the whole thing with that, again, it goes back to, we have Thor that came out yesterday, and it goes back to that fatigue starting to set in. Money's starting to come back less and less. And don't get me wrong, it's still,
it's gonna take a whole new franchise like the X-Men coming in to reboot it, because we've seen all these characters before. We've had so many stories with them. It's like, that's nice, that's great. I'm glad you two can team up, but we need something to refresh the pool.
It's content. Again, this is what I've been saying. It's all just content now.
You look at something like Jurassic World.
That's at least, closing something out that, that's the big existential question that's been through the entire franchise. What if the dinosaurs get out? Because that's the question that everybody's been wondering since 1993. So that's something that come to fruition, especially in the books too. So,
well, in the book, I love the books. I love how slowly and settled it happened in the first book.
Right.
Like it was never a continuation. It was more of a thing. It was more of a thing where they just started noticing patterns.
Yeah.
Walter, stop it. Get out.
So like Walter, just a pattern. But that's what I liked about the books. But with this latest movie, I mean, I don't understand all the hate it's getting, because it's like, what did you expect about a movie with dinosaurs? Like,
dinosaurs.
It was too complicated. Actually, it closed a lot of little questions that started in the very first one. Like there was like, who was the other company that was trying to vie for that right? That's answered.
Right. Like
what happened to? Yeah, it's like all this other stuff. Why do we have this clone running around? That's answered.
Yeah, I recently watched the first one again with my son because he's into dinosaurs, and I was wondering that too. Like, who is he selling these embryos to? And they said their research was 10 years behind. And
do
you know how much I've been craving a Long Island iced tea? I haven't really gotten to like drink in years. So thank you for that. Just
Oh, now I'm gonna have to take you drinking, Kim. And I'm finally at a point in my life where I can slow down so people can catch up.
Fair.
All right, but that's the whole thing, though. Is like I don't understand why. Like it's just people, and it's both sides of the.
Plus, that's the team up that I wanted. Fuck the MCU team ups. That's the one that I've been wanting forever. Is the old crew with the new crew.
And it made sense.
And it worked.
It made sense. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It worked. And I mean, it's like, I know some people would say like, well, no, it was kind of forced into it. I was like, actually, of all the ways you could have brought them together, that was kind of the most logical.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they were doing this through acts 1 and 2. It wasn't until the third act where they were like, okay, who are you again? And they all kind of knew each other by reputation.
Plus Ian Malcolm was a bit in the last one, right?
Yeah, but he never had any interaction.
Yeah, he never interacted with anybody. Right.
It shows in this
but I mean, like that was, I think that court thing with him was televised, so they would have seen that at least.
Right. Well, and Malcolm is so again, it goes back to why do they all know each other? They have a high enough reputation for that interaction to make sense.
And plus, like what happened to them was probably well known at that point. Like,
oh yeah. She used to run, Jurassic World, and then she became this advocate. He was one of the Raptor trainers, so of course Grant would know him, and of course it's like they tied everything together. There was and it was like, well, it's too forced. The movie itself is forced. There was no reason for this movie to exist except people wanted money.
I'm glad it did, and I'm glad
it did.
Well, like I said, like
wrapped it up.
Well, like I said, it answered the question, what would happen if the dinosaurs got out? Because that's the question that as an audience viewer, you always wonder. Could you imagine what chaos that would be if the dinosaurs got loose in the general public? Like that's the question that you always want answered.
I love it because the last one stated talking about, we'll sell it to the highest bidder.
And also that all of this is the fault of like a child.
Yeah. And this one.
Blame the children.
This one, well, I mean, and you should.
Always the child.
In this case, you should have. Like, don't have a heart, let them die of the smoke.
Yeah.
Like you could have solved all of it. Would it have sucked? Sure. Should we have thrown the child in there with him? Sure. But we didn't. I mean, and none of the acting was bad. Like all of the acting was
she like the granddaughter of Hammond or something? Like, or some of the great granddaughter or something?
She was the daughter.
Yeah.
And of Hammond's partner.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say maybe there was genetic madness involved there, because in the books, Hammond was awful. He was atrocious. He didn't give a crap about it, whether his grandkids died or not. He didn't care.
But Hammond also didn't make it out of the first one.
Right? Yeah,
so,
he got 8. Yeah. He got 8 pretty fast. It was the end. But yeah, he got 8 for the compies.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah,
just
he.
used the word.
I just love the compies. They were my favorites from the book.
Yeah, for sure.
But, so yeah, I liked the movie. To the whole, it's like, well, what if they ever got out? It's like, well, okay, the technology getting out is one thing, but I've always, again, because I love the book, the whole lysine program, program that they did. I'm like, so why is it that we keep having more dinosaurs show up? It's like 12 dinosaurs escape at this farm or at this auction.
They
and now
breed like rabbits.
Yeah. And now we've got dinosaurs that we've never seen before, just all over the damn place. And I'm like,
it's like rapid evolution. Like,
yeah,
it's like one generation to the next, they're evolving too quickly. And I think that's probably because of like the way they messed with the genetics.
Why is there a friggin' brontosaurus the size of 3 school buses just walking around? Like, that's not how that works.
My favorite comment that me and Jason were talking about after we saw the movie was, it was a real far stretch to believe that some guy with a corporate mindset who's a billionaire would try to do stuff to only make the world in his image. That would never happen in real life.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was
specifically my comment was, I'm really glad that it's all science fiction, that a multi-billionaire, highly government connected billionaire would try to control all of our farmland. Yep, glad
and infiltrate all our social media, and
would never happen. And it's very
we could be being watched right now.
Charismatic, I'm like, no, that could never happen.
Charismatic is stretching it.
He was never charismatic. Which also is but it's like, hey, at least the NSA is watching us. I don't. Google's watching us. We have fans. Just saying.
Okay, let's do quick hits. Let's do quick hits. Ready?
Okay.
This whole show's been a quick hit. What are you talking about?
Hit, yeah.
Well, we didn't even touch Miss Marvel this week.
That's what I was gonna say. So Miss Marvel continues to get better.
I'm torn about it.
Jason, no.
I'm torn about Miss Marvel.
I haven't seen this last episode. So will I be torn about it?
I watched it. Yeah. I'm torn about it because like in the original like first couple episodes, it's quirky, it's fun, it's interesting perspective of a teenage girl. And now it's like, let's tie it all about family. And it's like it's losing the quirkiness and the that made it unique, that made it cool to watch. And now it's just the generic Marvel formula, like they're casting it off. And
but is that not typical in what we've come to expect from Marvel? Third act issues.
Typical doesn't mean good.
Well, but that's
but that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
I've always said Marvel has a third act issue.
Yeah,
most
superhero
movies have a third act issue.
They get us interested and suck us in with something cool. Like Loki did the same thing, and same with Moon Knight. They get these cool concepts. They're unique, cool. We've never seen this before, and then it's just like the drop off where it's like. And the way they ended this last episode, I don't know how they're gonna. There's only one more episode left, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know how they're gonna wrap it up in one episode.
Yeah, it seems like this should have been. Again, if you were thinking ahead, this really should have been the end of the series. Like this should have been episode 6, but it's like they're like, we got to make certain we tell the story of this story here, and it's like, I mean, do you need essentially 2 episodes to tell this part of your story?
It looks like literally cut off, like it was a really long episode they cut in half because the way the ending scene, the way they ended it was weird. Like, why would you end there?
It was again not to spoil anything, but just
that's why I'm like.
It's like Hollywood has discovered the whole Pakistan India partition thing from the 40s, and they're really big on it. And it's like, but you don't need 2 episodes devoted to this thing per se. It's like it is important in the story. I get what you're trying to go with it, but you could have done this differently. To your point, again, it's the third act problem. It's like they don't know how to. They're really great with getting you hooked, but they're like, how do we just end this without, sucking?
Well, I think I'm going to say this. I think the last good thing that they didn't have a third act problem with, going strictly to the Disney Plus series, because I think No Way Home kind of fixed that issue as well.
Didn't fix the issue. It was just a demonstration that you could do a Marvel movie without a third act problem.
But I think the last Disney Plus wanted to do this, and I know people are going to probably argue with me, but it's got to be WandaVision. Because WandaVision actually had consistent. A really good third act, and it was consistent to it. That's why when you get into, Doctor Strange 2, it's like that's not necessarily the Wanda that we really saw.
It's because WandaVision wouldn't get a second season. They had to wrap it up correctly, because if they didn't, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, the rest of them could have potential for more seasons, which is why they leave it the way they do, because they're like, oh, the next season will fix it. WandaVision didn't have that excuse. And also it had each episode being a different, genre helped keep it cohesive yet not cohesive enough to be interesting. And then they had to find a way to wrap that up. So that's why it was a unique concept and a unique story flow. But the other ones were just
So with Marvel Disney Plus, we have third act issues still, and with Star Wars Disney Plus, we have bad editing.
Yeah. Amongst
that's where that's the issues that we're seeing. And
I hate to say it, yeah. Like,
by the way, it just occurs to me, back to the whole idea that the problem is even Marvel's forgetting about these shows, or as far as canon. You realize we completely forgot about Hawkeye.
I love Hawkeye.
Like when we were talking about the Disney Plus shows, we completely ignored the fact that Hawkeye was the thing. So
I loved Hawkeye. Well, also
I liked it too. But
I'm a big Jeremy Renner fan, so I was very excited for Hawkeye. But
I don't think that one. Still. But you know why that one worked.
It was grittier. That's why it worked. It wasn't so fantastical like the rest of the series.
Right up till Kingpin.
I wasn't mad about Kingpin, especially.
I'm not talking about him being in there. I'm not talking about him being in there. I'm talking about how we all knew shooting him had no bearing on the overall story.
Yeah.
It's not about bearing about the overall story. It's because they're doing the Echo series and they wanted a way to tie that to the next series, which that was the only reason why I found it justified.
It was the only thing that I had a little bit of a problem with on the Hawkeye. But again, it wasn't a across the world adventure. It was a small contained story. I think they've got to get back to that.
With just gritty Jersey gangsters who were idiots. Like,
don't do it. Don't push all the buttons. Don't push the buttons.
Don't push the buttons. But okay, so hold on. I think this is also sort of, I think, the problem that we're talking about with the whole 90s Marvel Comics situation, right? It's like it's issue number 1. Let's introduce Night Thrasher. Let's introduce Luke Cage again. Let's introduce, it's like the problem with the Disney Plus shows is they're being used in a lot of the movies too. It's like, well, hey, let's use this time to deviate from an actual story and introduce some other random ass character that we want to have.
This is why I liked the Netflix Marvel series, because they set up their own gritty stories individually, and then they set up the Defenders. Well, Iron Fist sucked. He was a whiny little turd.
And that's where I'm the different kind of, and I know Sean feels the same way. Kind of like
I know character wise he was supposed to be a whiny turd, but the character growth was non-existent, really, to me. At least emotional wise, like his emotional capacity was. Nah. I was more of a fan of Connie the entire time. That she was the one thing that made me keep coming back to that dang show. And when the Defenders came together, he was the weak link that I was like, if he fell down that elevator shaft, I wouldn't be sad.
Well, the problem is they're like, hey, Daredevil was really good. Let's see if we can use that idea with Iron Fist. Iron Fist should have straight up always been like, he didn't need self-discovery.
What I
he just should have been like, I'm here to destroy the Hand. Why are you getting in my way?
What I love is we all have.
Yeah, he should have had that conflict embraced for impact and then just moved on from it.
We all have that series with the Defenders that we don't like, and for me, hands down, Jessica Jones.
God damn it! I knew you were going to say it.
Stand it.
I loved Jessica Jones.
I love the actress. I love the acting. I loved the main antagonist.
The villain.
I loved it. That show was too freaking long. Many filler episodes.
It was so long.
It was so slow.
It was so long. It developed a third act complex by the introduction of Hellcat.
It developed a third act complex by episode 4. It developed a third act. Yeah, in episode 4. But I mean, again, if they had shortened
the final season or just the first season?
Oh no, the first season.
First season.
Second season. Actually, I thought
that's
was a lot
harsh.
better.
Yeah, I did not, but I loved her in Defenders because that's what I was expecting. I was expecting how she was in Defenders. I don't know. I liked
the first season of Jessica Jones. Once they killed off Kilgrave, it lost it for me.
But
okay.
Jason's
It's
right.
the Batwoman.
It's the Batwoman problem. Batwoman for CW is fantastic when everybody but the show's writers for Batwoman is writing her.
When
Because
she's
it's
in
like
someone
everybody
else's
else,
show, she's
everybody
great.
else
That's
understood
true.
her role. And that's the same thing that happened for me with Jessica Jones.
Here's my problem. Not everyone needs an origin story. Sometimes people can just show up and everyone's like, okay, it's a superhero. Great. Let's move on with our lives. Right?
that's
the
what they did
boys.
with-
The boys.
Oh my god! Like, what's funny is I didn't watch the last 2 episodes of The Boys, but I watched people's reactions to the last 2 episodes, and that was enough for me. Because I was like, because there's a point where it's like, I can't physically watch this anymore. Like, somebody just tell me what happens.
But I'll tell you though, The Boys also has some of the best writing. Umbrella
I
Academy
love the character
has
development
some
of
of
The
the
Boys.
best writing.
Mhm.
Like you watch The Boys and you go, that's absurd and horrible, and why did I have to just see that? I can't unsee it. And then
Right.
the heart that follows that show.
You know who
And you're
has
like-
who is the axis, like that my entire like enjoyment of the show plot
Mhm.
moves around is a Fire and MM.
Yeah.
Because them two are staying grounded and remaining, loyal to their beliefs and their causes, and despite
Mhm.
the relationships ending around them, despite people leaving them, they're doing what they right. They're the moral anchor of the entire show. Everything else
Yeah.
is going to crap, but them two are at least trying to do what's right, and that's
Well,
what keeps me coming back to the show.
and then
At
you
least them
have
two.
and
And Frenchie.
Frenchie's storyline this season.
Frenchie's
was
just
fantastic.
tragic. It's
Yeah,
tragic.
but it's great because it's like
It's great because it's
you-
tragic.
yeah, you feel for
Mhm.
this guy, and I don't know, but Anthony Starr's Homelander though this season,
Oh,
him
God.
going between psychotic, leader, worried, father, depressed, has just been all over the place.
He's
and he has
multidimensional
been-
because he's
Yeah.
literally multidimensional.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I liked when he was forced to take over Vought, because then he's like, I think he started to understand, what's his Ed a little more, because Ed was kind of like
Yeah.
the father figure for him, like, you can't do this or this will happen. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And
Yeah.
he would always kind of have to rein him in, but now that he doesn't have that, he's having to rein others in, so he kind of has that understanding of what
right,
he was dealing with,
right
you
up
know.
to the last scene.
literally.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I've just started Umbrella Academy. I love that show. That's another
Yes.
show where I'm just like,
Well,
the writing has just been phenomenal.
I love
know?
the Umbrella Academy. Well, my sister is a huge Gerard Way fan. Okay.
As is my
So-
daughter.
So I always knew about it from her. Like,
Mhm.
I literally helped her buy concert tickets so she could see them for like the 4th time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I believe we're at the same concert coming in September, right? Me and
October,
your sister.
actually.
Okay, so you're doing the San Antonio concert then, right?
No, she's going to Vegas. It was
okay.
when we were. Oh no, she's going to
Ooh,
there
fun.
too. She's seeing them twice
Yeah.
in 2 months. The When We Were Young festival is. I
Okay,
can't even
good.
go. I got the tickets for her because I happened to be able to get online first and grab them. Anyway,
I'll send you
but,
pictures.
thank you for me. But yeah, she always loved the comics, and then she had told me about them, but I'd never gotten to read them. And so then when I started watching the show, it was kind of fresh for me. But then I watched a thing afterwards about like the comic differences between them and the show, which I'm glad they changed the things that they did.
They did,
honestly,
yeah.
Yeah, they changed a few things which were never
they
bad.
changed it a
None
lot.
of them. They the things they changed for the most part, I think was the right decision, at least in translating it to a show.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with
Which
the
is
boys,
the same
right?
with the boys. Yeah, I
It's
was
like
gonna say
the
same thing.
changes are for, because again, not everything translates, and sometimes you do need somebody to come in and say, okay, you've missed. Because Ray and I, we worked on an adaptation of another property, we will say Silent On, never came to fruition for a number of reasons. But it's like, while we were doing the
He's saying-
adaptation, it's like,
He's saying that, and I'm sitting there in the back of my head going, "Oh my god, we actually did work on an adaptation."
yeah.
It's been
And
so long, I forgot about it.
and because of it, it's like, well, we even talked about it last night. It's like we had to, like, we made changes so it worked, but we had to stay kind of true to the story because it really is just absolutely beloved. And it's like, okay, but we made some changes that made sense. And I'm like, y'all missed it's like we were
Opportunities.
we were talking about this last night. We're gonna actually come back and do our own version of it, so it's not an adaptation. But it's like y'all missed some plot points, some major plot points here. It's the same thing, whether it's the Umbrella Academy or Boys. It's like the changes they make tighten the story, give you some things that the original creators missed. Again, if you're talking about the Boys, it's Ryan being alive. It's Ryan and his mom being alive. And Black Noir, like those two changes radically alter the show.
There's one plot point I'm wondering from the comics if they're going to bother to continue with, and that was, I believe, if I remember correctly, years since I've touched the comic, didn't Butcher get powers permanently?
Yes.
In the comics, so I'm wondering, especially with the way the last episode
it ended. I thought about that too.
If they're going to pursue that or not, because he I remember he became addicted to using them or something, if I remember right. So I'm wondering if they're going to push through with that or not, which would make him a complete hypocrisy of what he started off as, which I think would be great, because it's he's become something else.
And even how the comic ended with what Butcher does at the end would be. But so here's the thing: I think the show could go that direction, because the entire point of the story is the corruption of power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the entire premise of the show, is power corrupts.
Which was a really hard lesson in the last 3 minutes of that show.
Which is another reason why I liked Starfire so much, because she has this power, but she doesn't let it corrupt her. She's kind of the antithesis of everybody else.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I wonder if they'll keep that up too, or if she's gonna end up, breaking her pact.
I think they'll continue. I think that's one of the stronger points of the storyline, is having her be that way. So
yeah,
I hope not. I hope they don't try to go in a different direction with that at all.
And I worry about a weird random thing I started worrying about was MM's daughter's stepdad, because he was such a big Homelander supporter.
Also came to fruition at the end of that last episode.
Yeah.
I'll have to
all
your worries and concerns are valid. I'm going to put it that way. They are 100% valid.
Yeah. I'll get around to watching it, but I just have to warm myself up before I watch an episode. I can't spree them,
But that's what I appreciate more about the Boys than I did Walking Dead. Walking Dead episodes seasons 1 through 6 were great. They really were. Them, but they were it was a beating every freaking time. At least with the Boys, I know I'm going to get some really weird humor, probably
thrown in to kind of dilute it a little.
But there's always something there that
the little cartoon characters, like la-di-da.
Dude, the cartoon characters is one of the best things I have seen in a show in a long time. The way they played that, where it's it is legitimately, again, to the point. I think this is the same thing about Anthony Starr, right? It is the multi-layer of what they represent and how they're portrayed, because they are equal parts funny as all get out and absolutely terrifying.
Exactly.
Because of what they mean. When he goes in and he starts pouring the beans into these bowls that have moldy food in them, and then the characters come out and start eating the food, and you're like, oh, he's just insane.
Oh, he's just gone now.
Yeah, he's gone. And then we see them act out, what happened to him. Again, just their inclusion is great, because it gives you so much about insight into him. Again, Anthony Starr's acting is brilliant, because Homelander is equal parts psycho and vulnerable.
Well, we saw the deterioration from the first season with the way he interacted with what's her name?
Yeah.
That mother yet sexual figure, which is weird. Oedipus complex.
Yeah. Well, but that's also part of what they're trying to. He's able to be both. He's a very sympathetic villain. You get where it's like, okay, we get that you're broken. We can see why you're broken. And that requires a little bit of compassion from us. We still need to drop a nuke on you.
Yeah. It's like,
right?
It's like, die, but I get why
to kill you
here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're as much a victim as everyone else. But unfortunately, because of your power, we got to get rid of you.
because of your
But that's-
power and your actions.
Yeah. His actions are born out of what
But
it is.
Exactly.
It's an uncontrollable power that
Right.
at any given time could go
Mhm.
off.
And
Right,
yeah,
and that's
anybody, it's like, you know, the whole Soldier Boy situation. Like, he's like, I didn't want to kill these people; they were just in my way.
Can I tell you how much I appreciated the fact of how they handled the parental longing that Homelander wanted, and the absolute craziness of Soldier Boy just not caring whatsoever. Like, true to Soldier Boy's
Just
story,
mentions it nonchalant, like la-di-da, like by
didn't
the way.
even care. He was
No.
like, if you were my son, if I had been around to raise you, you would have been much tougher. You know, I mean, it was just,
Like, he was basically calling him a big baby for not being raised by him. And I'm like, that's not the thing you say. That's not the thing you say to the man who has issues with child shit.
Yeah.
Like, no. But, yeah.
Ending on a happy note, this popped this week, Wednesday. I'm all about.
I had heard they were
3.
making the third one, but I hadn't seen the trailer yet.
Mm-hmm. My whole thing with this is Kevin Smith's last 2 movies have come about in a really weird way. They're not distributed through the theaters like anything else. It's a Fandango event for 2 days, and then he's going to tour with it, and then it's going to be available to purchase. He did it with Jay and Silent Bob, and he's doing it with this one as well.
Is he saying they don't need the theater earnings? Is that where he's going with that? Or
I think he's trying to do. He really wants to just distribute his own way.
Is he trying to stick to being an indie developer as much as possible in modern society?
It's admirable, but I also want to be able to see it.
Right.
You know.
And well, I don't mind seeing it like if they had a way to like stream it at home, because like I said, I haven't been to a theater in literally like 2 or 3 years. So it's nice for it to be home sooner, but that means, you know, I have to pay for it to own it. Like, I don't. If I could rent it, that's one thing. Like, I'll pay $6 to watch it at home. Fine. But, you know, if you want me to just pay, Morbius did the same thing. They're like, we're not giving an option to rent because we know this is terrible.
We know it's
$20 or nothing. It's like,
on the plus side, though, you know that I'll just send you that link, Kim.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, but to the point, it's like he is trying to do it without the, you know, I don't think he's like, I'm an indie. I think it is. He's doing it without these these larger.
My child literally has made food demands. Like, he circled what he wanted on the menu.
Nice.
That's
I'm making chicken and rice.
That's right, buddy. Are you gonna make Hey, man, tortillas. That's all I'm saying.
Chicken and rice.
Yes, he's been begging for chicken and rice today, so I guess we'll be making chicken and rice today.
It's a arroz con pollo.
I love it. He's like, "Hey, world."
Yeah, time to go. I'm hungry.
Right.
Like, oh, I
which
love
is
it.
fair because I'm hungry too.
Yeah, I haven't eaten today, so.
Neither have I.
I don't think any of us have.
You're a cute way to wrap up the show.
That's how you wrap up a show. That is true.
It's a cat named Pawpaw. He was sneezing.
Okay, thank God, because I was like, not again.
Yeah, not we're not doing the remake trauma.
Not again. This is the 4th one.
We will get chicken and rice.
That's right. That's how we do it.
Can you say hi?
I love it.
Can you
say
wave?
Hi, 3 people. Hi. That's how you end the show. That is exactly how you end this. I love it.
Him on this channel.
You what?
I'll need him this channel.
Oh,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. You know what else is awesome? That we can start playing going away music.
yay! Can you say see you later?
Say bye. I love it. Jason, knock it out, man.
We don't know why you put up with this crap, but we'll be back in 2 weeks. We love y'all. If you want to email us for who knows what reason, it's vagabondnerds@gmail.com. And again, thank you to Jeremy over at Titan Comics. Again, if you're not in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, he does mail and ship things out. Go to titancomics.com. He's got all your geeky accoutrement. Make it happen, Ray.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, sweetie. Bye-bye.